So I saw these two slides with architecture in large letters. But as I said yesterday, I visit a lot of schools of architecture. They're not very interested in underground space. How are you going to get architects interested in underground space? And I say this also because in Montreal, as you know, a lot of money has been spent on the architecture of underground space. Those firms that have been involved, look at their websites. You can't find those projects. They're not even proud of those projects. They want to talk about the high-rise buildings that they have designed. How are you going to get architects involved? That's my question.
Yeah.
Maybe I can mention something. When we did the underground mass planning for our NTO campus, we have difficulty to find the architects. So later we find someone from America join our research team to help us to figure out the connectivity, all those issues. It's not easy because there's no one really specialized in those areas, especially in Singapore.
I'm not in the panel. Yes, I was wondering about this problem. I mentioned it before. We need for a new generation of architects dealing with the underground space with some models, not only dealing with it, to create it. I was wondering about the real problems behind it. First of all, we are living so slowly. I mean, a human being is to live something like 70 years, 80 years. And it was much less, let's say, 2 centuries ago. It is almost natural for the human culture not to see very long toilets. That's why this kind of problems like the systematic use of the underground space, climate change, and so many other things which need long perspective is so difficult to adapt from the modern societies. This is the difficulty behind all these kind of problems. Everything which needs long-term perspective is very difficult to be applied in the modern societies. In the modern societies plus the modern governments, the most usual attitude is not my term, it is something long-term. Skip it. I have results now. I would like to have results within the next 5 years. Underground development is not such kind of business. That's why it's so difficult to get into this. The problem is that the humanity itself needs such kind of long-term solutions. But probably I'm afraid that will be not suitably prepared when time will come. This is the problem. From the other hand, always there are pioneers. And I think that this kind of table is one of the pioneer moves. I mean, I'm happy to be here because it is the realization of multidisciplinary, which is not the answer only for the underground space and its development. Multidisciplinarity is the answer for so many things. I mean, Taylorism took his toll even to education and learning. I mean, we divided almost everything. We are good at a certain space of knowledge. We tend to know almost everything about almost nothing. This is it. We should regeneralize our aspects. And we should start from a solid problem like the lack of space. So we're exercising such kinds of thing in a very interesting topic.
Hi, I would like to kind of comment back on the question, how do you attract architects, to be interested in underground spaces? I think this question is very interesting. I come from an architecture background. And I do agree that to a certain extent that an architect or designers might be interested in underground spaces is also, can you get the banks, the financial institutions to be interested in underground spaces, because someone mentioned about the skyline, about how actually every country is selling the financial skyline, and in that sense, even if you have a division of labor, like having financial back of houses in the Changi Park, Business Park and all that, if you can even consider that they might want to put themselves underground. And then we confront the issue of lack of space. Lack of space is also subjective, right? Lack of space for what? I think that the prioritization of space for certain things, for certain brandings, identity, corporate image, goes, higher priority goes to the people who've got money. And in that sense, sadly, unfortunately, architects do have their patrons, people who can pay for well-designed spaces, which is another point that was brought up by, I think, Prof. Dimitris about underground space being public good. And in that sense, that functional aspect of it being a public good kind of diminishes the capital pumped into making it aesthetic or certain long-term planning going into well-designed underground spaces. And I think that also brings me to another point about the issue about the central catchment area. I think that the cost-benefit analysis these days, we look at it in very short-term and site-specific kind of cost-benefit analysis. So if I'm talking to a policymaker about whether I should drill through the MacRitchie Reservoir, it is cost-benefit in that specific instance, that event, that location. But I think in terms of looking at long-term planning, policy planning, and master planning, these considerations of cost-benefit needs to be enlarged on a wider scale, on a longer term. So the cost and benefit may not be calculated now or may not have an immediate consideration, but it has to have like a 5, 10, even 50-year consideration, which I feel perhaps is sorely lacking in that respect. So I don't know if anyone has comments.
A little bit influenced by the business school. It's a matter of branding and innovation. And we know we can study all other different technological innovations, how they evolved. And usually starts, it's both top-down and bottom-up, but usually it's a small group of people that will insist on something. One way to introduce an innovation, and probably the best way, is not to make it too particular. So, the way this is designed, the reason it's designed like that is because it looks like the original form. So you can put it like that. Okay. Because if you directly went to the option to use it looks strange. Okay? And people tried it. We had iPhones before the iPhones and they failed. Because the design didn't take into account what people already know. So I think the solution for underground is to make this part of the above ground development. So possibly, as Dimitri said, is an architect, when he develops a design about an above ground space, he should also be able to design the underground space that goes along with the same building. So this could be a way to help architects. Yeah. But I'm sure a small group of architects will arise.
Okay. I want to draw a quick parallel to high-rise living as well. And just as not so long ago as Singapore, 50 years ago, people were not willing to live in high-rise apartments. It took a lot of political will, a lot of convincing to move these people from villages, kampongs, into high-rise apartments. And in the beginning, we remember that a lot of high-rise apartments were very functional blocks of buildings, quite, by today's standards, quite awful looking. And in time, as more and more people embraced high-rise living, there was the possibility of building new sorts of buildings, new housing estates, places like Duxton with new architectural designs, and inspired an entire generation of architects to reproduce skyscrapers, high-rise living. And in that way, underground living may require some kind of a political will in the first place. And Debbie was quite right about the financing. Today we have the emergence of data analytics and new data sciences. And these are functions to me which can be located underground. And once you have that habit of putting people underground, you establish norms, practices of living underground, you may inspire architects to find new ways of reimagining the underground space as well.
Because time in the Brodelian sense, you know, the longue durée, right, the long duration, is always something that we're dealing with in terms of wicked problems, whether it's climate change. But my discomfort with underground urbanism, besides putting nuclear plants, which are my discomfort anywhere, at least, you know, the current technology. My discomfort with underground urbanism is sunlight, the lack of sunlight. And so I was wondering if you can tell us about some of the technologies that might bring vitamin D underground.
Actually, there are some, but this is not important because
It is.
let me explain. It would be important if going underground means that we are lacking something that we have it on surface. I mean, most of the people working in buildings are within windowless buildings for safety reasons. Do you have an idea about how many portion of the workers work in such conditions? What I have in mind is to put most of these useless to be on ground land uses underground in order to free the surface for getting as vitamin D as you want. This is the idea. We are consuming the surface with no reason. We're consuming the surface for storage, for logistics, for traffic, for traffic jams. It is annoying. It is annoying and it is at the same time silly. What we believe is just put this all kind of facilities underground in an intriguing, in an industry, in a beautiful underground place in order to free the surface for more vital activities. I was first to mention, I'm not the man saying the underground versus above ground living. It is not such case equation. The question is the quality of life of modern people. There's no way of being sustainable in modern cities unless we reschedule the life of modern cities, especially the big ones, by the systematic use of the underground space. It is time to understand it.
This falls very well in my expertise as neuroscience. I think that's one of the reasons that they wanted me to understand that. First of all, for sunlight and vitamin D, you don't need a lot of exposure to sunlight to produce the vitamin D you need. Actually, 5 to 10 minutes every day is enough. The major problem is not so much vitamin D, it might be more the hormones and the disruption of circadian rhythms. So if you are in an environment without windows, it's not the underground environment, it's the windowless environment, which could be, yes. But on the other hand, underground environment is windowless.
Yes.
Or could be. Now, there could be many solutions, technological, and we try to solve this. But I'm very much for having light shafts that go down, light shaft, yeah, basically like that. But in reality, as neuroscientists, we do not know a lot of what exactly the problem is, because some people, and we have some data on this, suggest it's not sunlight per se. What is more important is to have it, what we call a horizon. So being able to look far away. Okay. So that's sometimes when we discuss with architects, one suggestion is always underground spaces to have a big open space that people can go and look far away. And maybe Professor Zacharias knows better, but I think in Montreal, an architect who did a study in Montreal, he found out that people will gather in spaces that are open. Plus they have plants. Now the major problem is disruption of circadian rhythms, but our circadian rhythms are disrupted anyway and much more from this than windowless environment. if you use this after 9 o'clock, it has blue light, you are already disrupting your circadian rhythms. And I have to say, if you're disrupting your circadian rhythms, you play around with your hormones, which regulate your appetite. Okay, and if you are getting weight, if you're getting fatter, you cannot,
That's
your
why.
diet doesn't work.
Using the mobile, that's why I'm not getting fat. You don't understand.
Maybe we can skip lunch. We can skip lunch.
Now I appreciate it. Anyway, I have to say that the problem is much more complex, but I think we can solve it with many different ways. Yeah, but it is important. Yeah.